Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 20. This is from the original Mirage Studios series, and this is part 2 of the Return to New York. We did issue 19 a while back. Backlog got in the way, life got in the way, and this just kind of fell by the wayside. But here we are, kicking shell and taking names. And I just love this series. I love the old school black and white work of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. I mean, look at that. Absolutely phenomenal work of just like a nice quick sketch. I don't know if you really call it quick sketch, but I just love how you see all the intricate line work. That's kind of one of the things that I harp on about digital art is, yes, it looks great after, you traced in, scanned it in, blah, blah, blah. But just like how people love vinyl, you miss the life in the artwork where, someone just for hours on end to get that kind of look. And yeah, you can kind of recreate it in digitally, but maybe it's just because I'm an old fart now and I just can take an appreciation for stuff like this. Anyway, last issue, if you guys don't remember, I'll make sure to put a card somewhere in this review, but the Turtles eventually fled New York. We went over that series too. It was Ninja Turtles 10 and then the Leonardo one-shot, so I'll put those cards in here somewhere. And I'll eventually make a playlist. Life happens. Anyway, Raph's had enough. He says it's time to go home. So the other Turtles are still saying we need to recover, we need to make a plan. He says, screw that, I'm out. Heads back to New York to the sewers, finds one of the remaining Triceratons down in the sewers. And he's not all here upstairs. And the other Turtles, reluctantly follow back. And they realize that the Foot is really kind of starting to run a tight ship on New York. And you notice how Zog here, that's his name, there's something off. He keeps going, Zog knows all. Surprise him and in and out. No prisoners. No. Zog's been watching him, sees him creeping. Zog knows all. Teeth, sharp teeth everywhere. They hide, creep, quick. And they've been calling Raph the leader because the way Raph, I guess, was dressed or something like that. But he sees Raphael as the leader now. And so even though the Triceratons don't exactly like the Turtles, he is definitely an intricate help in getting the Turtles where they need to be, which is a Foot Clan center in the middle of the sewers. And the action, just full-on Frank Miller-esque 1980s. Just look at that. Don't bunch up. Fan left. Watch crossfire. Pick your targets. Move it, grunts. And they just rip through the Foot like so much tissue. And they call Raph Zoraph. I mean, look at this. Look at all the little attention to detail. Look at this on the little keyboard. And then the DOS monitor. All that great little inking and penciling. And then, of course, the 3.5-inch floppies. I remember when they were, 5 1/4? And then they went to the 3.5-inch. Yeah. Anyway, go look at Wikipedia if you're more interested in that. Anyway, they find a place that's like supposed to be a water front or something like that. But, of course, it's a shell operation. And they realize that that's where the Foot is. Now, look at this. I mean, yeah, it's just a splash page of the Turtles getting ready to infiltrate this place. And they're talking about how Zorg's kind of like a ticking time bomb because our atmosphere eats at his brain. But they're using what they can. Now, again, what I'm trying to get at here is, yeah, maybe just a picture of a building, but God, look at all the attention. Again, look at the attention to detail. I think, and I hate to say it because it just makes me sound kind of like a noob, but if you go back and I cannot remember who the penciler is, but Alan Moore's from Hell. I can't remember who penciled it. I'm not sure if it was Brian Boland or not. But look how all the way the attention to detail, the buildings, yada, 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 all that traditional artwork. Same thing here. All the focus on perspective and the grittiness, the black and white, just the realism to it. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. And that's what really takes me by surprise on these older books is just the care. I mean, look at this. They're not trying to be realistic here, but I mean, the way that he's blasting through this wall, all that line work, and just enough here of the ink within this blank space to show that he's using his gun to blast through the floor. Just, yeah, I don't know. I read this and it's like I go dumb because I don't see a lot of work like this in comics anymore. I mean, I've seen some good work, don't get me wrong. But just seeing it in this old, gritty style. I mean, you can see why this book was in such high demand back in the day. The attention to detail. I mean, look at this. That old indie comic art way. Back when it was not, they were just trying to make a good book, not people doing it for the sake of aesthetic, as a lot of people will do nowadays. This was back with them wanting their own comic company. And at this point, they were just starting to get popular with the conventions, talk of the toy line, the cartoon, etc., so forth. And so you get a little bit more money, able to add a little more detail, because you can see where they were able to kind of take their little time a little bit more on this compared to the very first issue, because that first one, that's always going to be raw and dirty. But nonetheless, look at this. No dialogue. This is what I mean by visual storytelling, guys. Raph's going at a foot soldier. Grabs his hot sai. Pulls it away. Don retaliates by catching it midair, flinging it at the foot soldier. There doesn't need to be 600 thought balloons or people with mile-long paragraphs talking. The art drives the narrative. And then, of course, they win. And you have to have a little bit of dialogue here. He goes, Louise, Zog rules. And while he seems kind of oblivious, just look at the chaos of them taking down the foot. Again, this is the old days. And the foot were not robots. There was one panel. Where was it? There. These were not robots. These were actual, what do you call it? Oh my God. Samurais. They're ninjas. Leo taking this dude's eyes out. Just painful thing about how far those fingers are going to go back. And yeah, there is a great little surprise towards the end that kind of heralds the end for Zog. And again, he goes, onward. Zog knows. Goes through a head into this dark corridor. And we just get some little glimpses. Zog knows where. And the reveal at the end is just something to kind of make you go, what in the hell is going on? Now, again, this book, April 1989, 20 plus years old. A lot of you probably read it and like, why don't you just spoil it? Well, I ain't going to do that because there's people that are new to these books and I want them to go check it out in full. Speaking of, if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little turtle bell next to subscribe, that way we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. And if you guys have enjoyed this book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to grab your comics and toys and action figures and comics. And lastly, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.